Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Robert Support Show and House Rob. Alright. Impact Wrestling Emergence review. Overall, it was an okay show. It was just kind of there. I'm going to be perfectly honest. One of the better matches was the pre-show match. It started at Mike Bailey. Speedball Mike Bailey versus Alan Angels. Yeah, I mean, these guys have met before. We know Bailey's come out on top. Alan Angels is always one of those competitors that he can beat anybody at any given time. But Bailey and his striking and his drop kicks and everything typically are going to get the best of somebody like an Alan Angels. Angels did hit a neck breaker on the top rope. Took him down to the floor. It was kind of funny. Alan Angels is working over Mike Bailey while the announce team is just running down the card. Some of it was not believable the way he was working him over. But when Bailey starts doing his shooting star press and hitting power bombs and super kicks and everything that he does, and Alan Angel or Mike Bailey being Mike Bailey, I end up giving it 3 1/4 with Mike Bailey getting the victory. Next up, we had typical what you would call a pre-show match. We had the Good Hands, John Skyler and Jason Hotch versus Joe Hendry. If you say his name, he will appear. Versus Uemura. Yeah, it's just the Good Hands. Their gimmick is just trash to me. Yeah, it was just like whatever. Trying to think. Excuse me. Trying to think of anything big that happened in this match. There really wasn't. Just kind of move here, move here. Joe Hendry kind of launched Skyler into like a cutter from JOYA. And they got the 3 count off of that. So nothing big spectacular. So Joe Hendry and Uemura getting the victory, and they're giving it 2 1/2. Next up, we had no disqualification, Eric Young and Diener. We know the history here. Eric Young actually ran the faction. Oh, what was the name of that faction? Violent by Design. Diener joined it. Eric Young left to go to WWE. Diener took over it and it's called it the Design. And then, yeah, it's just kind of been back and forth. I mean, it was a no DQ match. So we had the typical trash cans, and we had ladders, and people doing suplexes on trash cans, and the barricade. And, Eli had some handcuffs because that's how he rolls, and he handcuffed Khan to the turnbuckle so Khan couldn't get involved. EY hit Diener with the trash can lid a few times, stapled Diener's things to Diener's face, so that was intriguing. EY ended up climbing one of the ladders and hitting the elbow drop through a table on the Diener. Khan, big strong guy, obviously ripped the freaking handcuffs off, ended up choke slamming EY through 2 chairs. Diener introduced a barbed wire board. EY blocks him from doing the dive. Both men end up going through the wire. Young ended up pile driving Diener into the board and ends the Design as he created it. So EY getting the victory over Diener. I ended up giving it 3 1/4. It was just one of those matches like, okay, it's a hardcore match. Next up, we had the knockout tag titles on the line. We had champion MK Ultra, Killer Kelly and Masha Slamovich going up against the Death Dollz, Courtney Rush and Jessicka. Going up against Gisele Shaw and Savannah Evans. And the 4th team was Jody, Threat, and KiLynn King. This match was kind of the same. It was just kind of there. You had a few moves by Masha Slamovich, one of the better women's wrestlers. You had Jessicka landing a headbutt. It's like each of the 8 women end up doing just their own little spots. And that was it. And MK Ultra ended up getting the victory. And I ended up giving it 2 1/2. Next up, we had the Impact Digital Media Championship on the line with Kenny King, KING, versus Johnny Swinger. Oh my god. This match was just pure trash. Why Swinger's in this spot, I'll never know. He had Sheldon getting involved for zero reason at all. He ended up getting ejected because he kept getting involved so bad. Unfortunately, as Sheldon is getting ejected, Heat comes out, hits a wake-up call on... he comes out, hits a wake-up call on Kenny King behind the referee's back. Luckily, Kenny kicked out. Kenny ended up hitting the Royal Flush for the 1-2-3. I give it 2.5 as well. Kenny King retaining his Impact Wrestling Media Digital Media Championship. Next up, we had Impact Tag Titles on the line. We had champions Subculture going up against the Rascalz. The Rascalz, actually I did not realize this, the Rascalz have never won the Tag Title Championships. Subculture flying back from London, that's got to be tiring. They just seemed like they were off a step because of everything. The Rascalz ended up working a lot on the floor, different submissions and stuff. Andrews ended up getting the tag and then went. Can't read my own hand right here. Subculture, did a double team. Miguel kicked out on the outside, which led to a double dive. The double Blue Thunder got 2 from Subculture. Because they kept just double teaming everyone. They got a Pier 4 brawl going at one point. It was like all 4 of them were just brawling. Ended up getting the Rascalz and getting the spray paint and spraying it in their eye. And then you had Danny Luna trying to get involved. You had the Good Hands come out and getting involved. It just turned into a cluster fudge. And then you end up having the Rascalz win the tag titles. I'm like, really? You did all that clustery stuff? Overbooked the hell out of it for that. Then next up we had the Back to School match. Yeah, you heard me right. Back to School match. We had Frankie Kazarian and Eddie Edwards going back to Killer Kowalski's school where they both learned how to wrestle. This is the gimmick that was just stupid. You had Tracy Brooks there. You had Alicia Evans there. It was just pure trash. I mean, it should have been a lot like Taker and AJ from the COVID era of WrestleMania, but it wasn't. It was just, again, I was expecting so much more, and it was just one of the matches. It's a good time to go to the bathroom kind of match. Eddie Edwards ended up getting the victory, ended up giving it 2.25, nothing special at all. Next up, we had SANADA versus Jake Something. SANADA, NJPW champion right now, only getting a 2 count after a moonsault on Jake Something. Seriously, are you kidding me right now? Yeah, this is kind of how I felt during that match too. SANADA hit a moonsault, hit a Rikishi driver, still only got 2. Something was able to sit up from a powerbomb, or to hit a sit up powerbomb, excuse me, and got 2. And then finally, SANADA was able to get the 1-2-3. It was a 12-minute match that should have been over in like 7. But SANADA getting the victory, I ended up giving it 3.25. And then the sub-main was just a clustery. It was Alex Shelley, Chris Sabin, Kushida, and Josh Alexander versus Bully Ray, Brian Myers, Moose, and Leo Rush. Yeah, it was the Stadium Stampede match that was just not. It was okay. I've seen better. Not Stadium Stampede, Raw, Long Show. Wow. It was just more of a hardcore match. Stadium Stampede is AEW. Really did that show. Brian Myers, Moose, Bully Ray, and Leo Rush getting a victory. I ended up giving the match 2.75 star. And then our main event was for the Impact Knockouts Women's Champion Trinity versus Deonna Purrazzo, the Virtuosis. This match was actually pretty good. It even seemed like the crowd cared about it. Deonna goes straight for the arm of Trinity and was trying to basically work on the arm all night. Trinity ended up kicking out a couple of attempted pinfalls. Trinity was able to hit the pile driver on the floor. Deonna gets up for her arm. Locks in the Fujiwara arm bar. Trinity goes to the ropes. Trinity's able to get out of the arm bar, hit a split lead moonsault for the 2. Trinity ended up hitting the DDT and was able to eventually get the pinfall on Deonna Purrazzo. So Trinity still your Impact Wrestling Knockouts champion. I ended up giving the match 3 1/4. And then we had the setup for Jordynne Grace, the vignette for her coming back at Victory Road. So it looks like eventually we're going to get Jordynne Grace against Trinity. So that should be intriguing. But that is Impact Wrestling Emergence. It was an okay show. I've seen better. I've seen worse. It was just okay. So thanks for watching the Robert Sports Show. Don't just have a great day. Have a spiffy day. Robert Sports Show, your YouTube leader sports channel content.